Hello. All right, so I want to remind everybody that this pop art portrait project is your final. There is no final exam. It's just a final project. And I will accept the projects up through the 14th. If you want to turn it in earlier, by all means. All right, so first things first, there's a few different ways you could approach this project, but the best one is, to start with, you need a good photograph. You need a well-lit, high contrast is best. So that's what I would aim for. If you don't already have your photograph, then aim to shoot it outside where you've got some strong sunlight. You could always try to use one source of light on the inside, but there's typically multiple light sources, which kind of affect shadows in a negative way. So if you have a photo already, then edit it in Photoshop to try to get it to look, pretty high contrast to start with. You just have less work to do back and forth in Illustrator if you have a high contrast photo. So you can see all of these ones. There's a lot of light on the face. This one, heavy light on the face. This one, almost so much light that some of the features just kind of disappeared. This one is implied that there's some shadow on this side, but you can still see all the features. Now that's not necessary in this instance for, of course, like these ones, basically half the face is out with the dark. That's totally fine. Some of these ones are local people and some of them are farther out, like Andy Warhol's from quite a ways back. I'm sure you guys have seen these before in museums, but they're massive portraits. I don't think I've seen anything smaller than 5 feet. Alaman, this is a digital one, but she's a local artist. She's come from South America, but she's living here now. Anthony Pena is a local, and he's got a couple actually on here, but he does these. He doesn't use Illustrator, but his look feels very much like Illustrator. And then here's another one you can see. Reggie LaFleur was local. He now lives in Minneapolis. He's from here though. And if you zoom in, like this one, yes, it has 3 portraits, but some of the areas there is an indication of a darker light, but you can still see the features. So you can choose to do it a whole lot of different ways. Shepard Fairey's Portrait of Obama. This is one that's very iconic. It was his vote poster. However, he did get in trouble because he used an AP photographer's portrait without enough editing. It still pretty much looks like the photo, so he got in trouble. It was a big court case. You can see in this instance that myself and Weston Thompson, we helped him with the overall composition. We saw this portrait out online, and then we asked him to. Now, Anthony typically doesn't do his own photography, so we asked him to photograph and do something using his own photography, because that's important. But he got the same gist, so we love that. Weston added the nighttime look into the dark shadow area, and then I added flowers, and Weston did the overall composition in the background. Anyway, you can see you can have a lot of stuff in the background if you want. In this case, I did an example for you guys using my own kid, as you've seen her a lot in my other demos. But we've got photographs in the back that are way pushed into the background because the contrast is low, so her portrait in the front could come forward. Some of the things that we utilized in the collage you could utilize here. So we've got some white drop shadows or outer glow, I can't remember. We have a gradient that pushes up. There's actually, I think, 2 gradients, one in her face and white area, and then one in the purple. So you just get some variety here. Now the rest of these are student examples from past classes, and you can see a very wide range of how they approached it. Some people took out the backgrounds entirely. Some of them actually emphasized the background over their own portrait because they just liked what happened. I would say for this project, maybe don't have too strong of an in mind about what exactly the outcome will be. Instead, let yourself be open to possibilities of what happens as you're doing the process. And it's fine if it turns out the way you intended, but if it does deviate, don't worry about that. Go with the flow. You can see lots of colors are optional. Few colors are totally fine. One thing I wanted to point out, like this one of Ruby, is just all one color except then a color for the background. Cat, they added the purple and the gold. These ones here where there's a slight variation, this is actually this one and this one are utilizing the same methodology, where they had a lot of layers in tracing and then they brought them to Photoshop. And actually, when you do the opacity change in Photoshop with the layers, sometimes you might like that part of it is still there. So basically this is like, 50%. This would have been 50% brown, somewhere around there, so that you still get some variety. Totally fine. This is really open-ended as long as you're utilizing the trace tool. And the reason that I have you guys going back and forth between Photoshop and Illustrator is that I personally find that Illustrator is a bit clunky in some ways for editing. So if I wanted to come in here and be like, okay, let me, do a little bit of here and there in the hair, that'll take forever in Illustrator, because yes, I can use an eraser tool, but everything just takes too long, flat out. So I just wanted to show you a method where you don't have to rely on one program. You can go between a lot. I typically, in my own mural work, I will do a lot of drawings by hand. Sometimes I will use, more and more, I use Procreate to draw over my photos. And then I bring it into Illustrator and I do my tricks there because I know how to use that well. And then I still need to do a lot of the mock-up work and color changes in Photoshop. So I rarely will use just one. I frequently use at least two, typically three. So just getting you a taste of that and seeing how it works out. So as typical, this is a better intro, like it's showing you to test out your photographs first, so you know what you even need to edit in Photoshop first to get a really good clean trace, and then from there on just back and forth. Not all of you will need to do every step in here. Sometimes you're like, no, I'm not going to do all that. That's totally fine. Like, you might not need the last two. That's up to you. Let me know if you need help. I'm here to help. So either in class or, of course, we can try back and forth with emails and videos, but probably coming to class would be the best and easiest way. I hope you enjoy this one.